Globally, it costs around $100 billion to police the drug war, albeit ineffectively. That's money that could be saved by legalization. And if we released non-violent prisoners, we could probably double our savings. On top of that, taxing drugs could also bring in further hundreds of billions of dollars. In 1998, the UN estimated that the global black market for illicit drugs was realistically worth around $400 billion. Production costs are minimal and workers could still be paid well, even with tax levels of around 90%. Whilst these figures are rough, they indicate, globally, taxpayers could see savings of around $500 billion each year. Combined with a reduction in crime, violence, disease and community disruption, this is already a very good deal, and policymakers promoting laws in this direction deserve support. In the rest of this chapter, I am going to talk about what we could achieve with this new global fund if we wanted to put it to its best use. This potential solution is based on the philosophy of effective altruism combined with the scientific method.
A philosophy and social movement called effective altruism has been in development for some time. It's a scientific approach that encourages individuals to consider all causes and actions and then act in a way that brings about the greatest positive impact.
Effective altruism is a study of maximizing lives saved per dollar and quality of life through stopping disease and disability. An example calculation would be £2,000 can train one guide dog to help a blind person, or pay for 100 sight-saving cataract operations in developing countries. Or provide thousands of children with vitamin and mineral fortified food to prevent malnutrition that leads to blindness.
We saw these kids and they were disfigured and most of them were going to die. And I remember asking the person that we were with, I said, you know, what causes this? And she said, well, if the mom has enough folic acid, which is a type of vitamin B, in the first 5 weeks of pregnancy, most of these cases of neural tube defects don't occur. I said, so, you know, how does it work? And she said, well, it's just put in the food supply. So the cereal that we eat or the juice that we drink has folic acid or this vitamin B. And I thought, gee, why don't they do that in Honduras? And that's sort of how the whole thing got launched.
What are some of the other minerals and vitamins that we have in our daily diet that we don't even think twice about anymore?
Well, micronutrients is just a fancy name for vitamins and minerals. So most of them are names that are familiar, like iron, iodine, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, calcium. Those are all things that I think we've sort of grown up hearing and we take for granted. The most important price tag is what food fortification costs for the population. And it costs about 15 cents per person per year. Okay.
15 cents per person per year.
It's incredibly cheap.
Thus the charity Project Healthy Children, that operates to make sure children subject to malnutrition get the micronutrients they need, is one of the highest rated on the effective altruist site givingwhatwecan.org.
21,000 children will die today for unnecessary causes. Remember that 21,000 children will die today for unnecessary causes.
From nutrition-related unnecessary causes?
Nutrition, diarrhea. No, I'm not talking about from war or complex things. It's really easy stuff that can be fixed.
Effective altruistic websites like GiveWell.org and GivingWhatWeCan.org currently compare charities using a range of measures and donate to the most effective ones. The first steps of this new global fund could be to flood all the most effective charities with all the money they can take, whilst maintaining a high level of efficiency. One of the most effective charities recommends simply giving money directly to those in poverty, and after more efficient options have been exhausted, remaining money could be used in this way.
It's a pretty simple idea, right? Well, why did I spend a decade doing other stuff for the poor? Honestly, I believed that I could do more good with money for the poor than the poor could do for themselves. I held two assumptions. One, that poor people are poor in part because they're uneducated and don't make good choices. Two, is that we then need people like me to figure out what they need and get it to them. It turns out the evidence says otherwise. In recent years, researchers have been studying what happens when we give poor people cash. Dozens of studies show across the board that people use cash transfers to improve their own lives. Pregnant women in Uruguay buy better food and give birth to healthier babies. Sri Lankan men invest in their businesses. Researchers who studied our work in Kenya found that people invested in a range of assets, from livestock to equipment to home improvements, and they saw increases in income from business and farming 1 year after the cash was sent. None of these studies found that people spend more on drinking or smoking, or that people work less. In fact, they work more.
If we actually managed to take $500 billion from the drug war and put it to the common good, we should be able to do more than just totally fund the current best charities. We could use the money to start a global triage system. In hospitals, patients taken into the emergency room are observed by a triage nurse, and those in need of the most urgent help are treated first. A global triage system could look at such problems as natural disasters, epidemics, pollution, climate change, rising sea levels, oceanic dead zones, the threat of rising artificial intelligence, asteroidal impact and supervolcanoes, and analyse the most pressing matters and allocate funding to the most effective solutions. In short, we could make the world a much safer place for everyone. We could gather an international team of scientists to work together and take control of our spaceship Earth, in much the same way as ground control operates for NASA space missions. In order to maximize effectivity, the scientists will need to study the Earth, ecology, and all the threats it and we face, and all solutions available. In much the same way as a medical doctor needs to first study the body, biomedical sciences, diseases, and cures. This is not a small task, and the development of an online university course could be a first step in equipping scientists with the tools they need. The course could be provided free online and be available internationally, and anyone who completes it would have a valid say in the allocation of resources.
If successful, this exercise could result in a decrease in the amount of poverty, inequality, fear, and tighten international relationships throughout the world. This could pave the way for mutual reduction in military spending and potentially higher contributions to a global resource pool. Globally, annual military expenditure is approaching $2 trillion, almost 4 times that of the black market for illegal drugs. As threat reduces, it could be possible for countries to agree to, say, reduce their current spending by 10% each year and potentially donate it to this global cause. If we reach such a place, problems such as meteorites cataclysmic climate change, and superbugs could all be dealt with quite easily.
You're a great crowd. Before I go, even though this is a world where good men are murdered, men who try and help are murdered and cut down in their prime of their youth, and hacks and mediocres and fascists run everything else, I'm going to share with you a vision that I had, because I love you, and you feel it. You know all that money we spend on nuclear weapons and defense every year, trillions of dollars, correct? Instead, just play with this. If we spent that money feeding and clothing the poor of the world, and it would pay for it many times over, not one human being excluded, we could, as one race, explore outer space together in peace forever.
Our survival as a species is far from certain. While most people are aware of a vague existential threat posed by climate change, few of us appreciate that there is enough methane to destroy the world frozen below the surface of the Arctic ice, and that it's leaking out in a positive feedback loop. The warmer it gets, the more methane released. The more methane released, the warmer it gets. As glaciers melt and the ground heats up, it bubbles out at an increased rate. the Earth, merely decades from now, could become a barren, Venus-like planet.
Forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Killing in the name of you. Now you do what they told 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 you. Now you're under control. Now you do what they told you. Now you're under control. Now you do what they told you. Now you're under control. And now you do what they told you. Now you're under control. And now you do what they told you. Now you're under control. And now you do what they told you. Now you're under control. And now you do what they told you. Now you're under control. And now you do what they told you. Those who died are justified for wearing the badge. They get chosen white. You're justified. Those that died for wearing the badge. They get chosen white. Those who died are justified for wearing the badge. They get chosen white. You're justified. Those that died for wearing the badge. They get chosen white. Come on. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.